Za'Darius Smith makes it known that he would like to return to the Detroit Lions. We're going to talk about it. And then my man's Kirk Cousins is pretty much saying now with the Atlanta Falcons, he's ready to move forward as that backup quarterback over there down in Atlanta. Plus, a lot of other NFL news going on for today's show that we're going to present. But y'all know before we get into it, you got to hear the music first.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm your host here, Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode. So if you tuned in, and I mean you should tune in, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, free agent edge, Za'Darius Smith. He's still on the market out there, not necessarily signed with a team right now, but he makes it clear and lets everybody know that he would like to return to the Detroit Lions, where he spent the last half of the season with them this year that just passed. He went out there and had an interview with USA Today Sports and pretty much said, we both know where I want to be. Hopefully I can get back to Detroit because the coaching staff and everybody in the front office are great. When I'm there, I feel like a leader and I feel like I can influence the young guys and do great things. Hopefully I can get back to where I want to be in Detroit. And shout out to Za'Darius Smith. This man has bounced around these last few years with a number of teams, but you cannot sit there and argue that Za'Darius Smith is an absolute monster. And I think that he still got a little bit of juice left in the tank to where he can go out there and be an effective pass rusher for whatever team that he's going to land on. Now, making it clear and known that he wants to go to Detroit, I think it's good for him and Detroit. Detroit, you're going to get your guy back in Aiden Hutchinson, who is a monster himself. But I still feel like even though they went out and signed a bunch of guys to one-year deals and they even drafted a young fella in Talik out of Ohio State, I think that they could very well use a little bit more support coming from that pass rush. I was of the mindset that, hey, you got Trey Hendrickson that's out there. Why not go and swing for the fences and go and grab a guy like Trey Hendrickson? Because I'm of the mindset that the Detroit Lions, they need to take advantage of the team that they have right now and what they've built thus far. I'm a sole believer that defensive line is not good enough to help them push for that Super Bowl that Detroit really, really wants. I'm looking at the Detroit Lions and saying, hey, I know y'all got Aiden Hutchinson. I know y'all just picked up a young cat out of Ohio State, but you need a little bit more oomph coming from that defensive line. Za'Darius Smith could very well be an option, but I also included a guy that they could potentially trade for in a Trey Hendrickson simply because if excuse me, if you have Trey Hendrickson along with Aiden Hutchinson, oh my God, it's going to be a vicious pass rush coming your way. And I ain't even the biggest fan of the Detroit Lions, but I got to give respect when respect is due. If they are able to pull that off, they become a legit threat in the NFC and then in the NFL as well. And this is especially coming after these guys really had a really disappointing ending to their season last season when they lost on their home turf to a rookie and Jaden Daniels in the Washington Commanders. And they had all the type of Super Bowl aspirations right there on the wall for them, had some things for the take, and you at least was supposed to get to the NFC Championship, but that didn't happen for them. And then this offseason, they lost their coordinators in Aaron Glenn and my man's Ben Johnson. And then they also took a couple hits when it came to losing one of your Pro Bowl linemen and Zeitler, and then Frank Ragnow just pretty much just retired on them. Yeah, I don't know if it came out of the blue, but for us, the people that's around and following the NFL, it wasn't, expected. So those are some major hits, and I think that the Detroit Lions, they need to go out there and try to do a little bit more patchwork to try to push themselves up into that Super Bowl contention. Because right now, I don't have them there. I could very well be wrong, but I think they still got to make some moves. And bringing on Za'Darius Smith, I don't necessarily think it'll be a bad idea. For one, he is a free agent. So you wouldn't have to trade for him and risk future draft capital. You wouldn't have to cough up a lot of money in my evaluation. You wouldn't have to pay him like a $30 million per year like you would if you would have to go if you went out there and traded for a Trey Hendrickson. So I think that Za'Darius Smith could be a good option for him. Last season, my man's put up 9 sacks. He had 4 sacks for Detroit and 5 sacks for the Cleveland Browns. So that's still a very productive type of year for a guy that's 32 years old. And I think he could still bring the Detroit Lions a little bit more juice if they were to explore that option of bringing him back. But we'll see what it lays out for that. Hey, he wants to be a Detroit Lion. A lot of the times, guys just want to go out there and get that bag, but he's making it clear that he wants to be a part of this organization moving forward. So, hey, why not bring in the guy that actually wants to be there and you know he's going to give 110%? He ain't no scrub. I think he still got some game left, but we'll see how that situation maps out. Now, we're moving on into Kirk Cousins. My man Kirk Cousins down with the Atlanta Falcons is pretty much saying we're moving forward. And he's okay with that backup quarterback position that he's gonna be, having to own up to this year, especially with the expectation that well, it's not the expectation, with it is absolutely it's actually happening that my man's Michael Penix Jr. will be the starting quarterback. So Kirk Cousins, a guy that was once the starter this past season, who started off well, but then really struggled before they inserted Michael Penix Jr. into the lineup. Hey, now he got to sit and be number 2. And the best thing he can do is sit there and support the young quarterback and just be a good team player. There were some rumblings and some rumors that the Pittsburgh Steelers or some other teams might come calling for the Atlanta Falcons to say, hey, we want Kirk Cousins. And that was kind of like a backup plan if the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't just get Aaron Rodgers. So it kind of made sense to, kind of take some of those calls. But then at the end of the day, I think that a veteran quarterback is best to have on your team than to not have on their team. Because I look at my team that I root for in the Chicago Bears, we had Caleb Williams, and then we had a young quarterback behind him, and that didn't work out too well. And I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but I think that having a veteran quarterback who is supporting your young quarterback does more good than bad. Because I look at Jaden Daniels over there with the Washington Commanders. He had Marcus Mariota in his ear, helping him get through his rookie season, helping him learn the game, helping him see things that he hasn't seen in his career thus far. So he had a lot of learning to do, and he's still learning because he's so fresh in his NFL career. So I think that could be great for a guy like Michael Penix Jr., who looked all right in the few games that he started last season. But Kirk Cousins he went on to say, obviously you love to play, but I'm not going to dwell on things that aren't reality. It's better time spent to focusing on the situation you're in and control what you can control. I think that's the right mindset to have. Certainly there were conversations in January, February, March, and even April, but we're moving forward timeline wise. Good for him, man. Good for Kirk Cousins. I like that mentality, man. You live in the reality and you focus on the things that you can't control, because at the end of the day, they don't have to trade you. They signed you, bro. And you getting a hefty check. You're going to get yourself a nice check to sit there and just help your teammate and not even take any hits. You getting paid way more money than the starter. You might not be getting all the glitz and the glamour that the starter is going to be receiving, but at the end of the day, you still getting that money. You still getting paid some nice money to go out there and be a backup quarterback, and you don't have to go into a situation to where everything is up in limbo. You know that this young fella is going to go out there and he's going to ball. And if, you know what I'm saying, I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but if he does go down and Michael Penix Jr., you are very, very capable of stepping right in and taking over the reins and leading the Atlanta Falcons to a couple wins if needed. So I think that's really, really good for Kirk Cousins. I don't know where the rest of his career is going to go like, but now he's in that backup role. It might be where he be for the rest of his career, unless there's some team, maybe like the Cleveland Browns, who want to entertain a Joe Flacco, or like how the Indianapolis Colts entertain a Joe Flacco, or some type of team that may be kind of stuck in the mud and they probably want to take a young quarterback, but they just need some stability to allow that young quarterback to learn. You might get another opportunity, but I think right now, Kirk Cousins, you should be good where you are. Cool. But hey, let me know the thoughts and everything down below about those two topics we just discussed. Now we got to go around the league and just run through a couple things that we're seeing and we're hearing right now throughout the NFL world. So one thing that we're hearing is that Devante Adams feels rejuvenated in Los Angeles. You should. You should. You should feel rejuvenated in Los Angeles, Devante Adams, because you played for the Las Vegas Raiders and they were a dumpster fire. And the crazy thing is that when you went to the Las Vegas Raiders, they traded your man's Derek Carr out of there as soon as you got there. Crazy work. Crazy work. Yeah, your man's was gone. And as soon as you popped up and said, I want to play with Derek Carr, he was up out of there. He was up out of there. And that's the crazy thing. So he absolutely should feel rejuvenated in Los Angeles with the Rams, not only because Matthew Stafford is really like that, but now you have a legit coaching staff and a legit offensive head coach that is a mastermind in Sean McVay, who gonna let you eat. Yes, he gonna feed Puka Nacua and the others, but Devante Adams is definitely about to have his seat at the table to where you can eat well too, my boy. You can eat well too, my boy. But hey, we'll see what happens and what the season is like for the Los Angeles Rams. Me personally, I think they win the NFC West. And hey, they might be challenging the Philadelphia Eagles for that chip. I ain't gonna lie. At least coming out of the NFC, we gonna see what's to it though. We got a long way to go before we see some NFL action. And I'm just going through the dog days. I ain't gonna lie to you. We got all these damn basketball games spaced out. We got just a little bit of WNBA here. But man, ain't nothing like no football. I'm telling you that. Ain't nothing like football. My football people, where you at? Because we going through it right now. We stressed. But hey, and then the other news, we seen J.K. Dobbins go out there and sign with the Denver Broncos. Really, really good signing for the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos look like they ready to take the AFC West, and it's crazy. These guys, hey, Bo Nix had a really, really good season this past last year, and man, the expectation is only going to grow more on him. And I'm going to be anxious to see what does he actually look like in year two, especially because they made some additions to this to their team. They had a solid draft. They went out and got guys like Evan Ingram to bring on to the team. Now you go get a veteran running back in J.K. Dobbins, and when healthy, is very, very productive and can do well for the Denver Broncos. Me personally, hey, I can't pick them to knock off the Chiefs until they actually knock off the Chiefs within the division. But hey, they got a strong chance. If anybody picking the Chiefs not to win, look, it's cool. I'm not even mad at you because you can make some legit cases on why the Chargers can win the division and why the Broncos could win the division. But just for me and for the sake of not going against the best quarterback in the league, I gotta see it. I gotta see it. You gotta show me that you really like that to knock off the Chiefs. And because the Chiefs I think they on like year 7 of running and winning this division. Hey, why not make it 8? It's something like that. They definitely been running this division for a long time. Is somebody going to be willing to knock them down? We shall see. But hey, and then the last thing that's going on around the news is that the Green Bay Packers are trying out wide receiver Bo Melton at cornerback after they just released Jair Alexander. Look, position switches are always tricky. Sometimes you get a guy that's sitting there that can do really well. Sometimes the guy starts off well and he teeter off. Sometimes the guy starts off bad and he gets better. I'm not counting the young man out because I have not seen him even play wide receiver. That's what that was the previous position that he played. So this is a wide receiver switching on to cornerback, which could very well work out for him simply because he knows the tendencies of wide receivers, as he has been a wide receiver, I at least expect, for most of his life. He's been a wide receiver. Now he's making that switch to cornerback. So we shall see how that works out for the Green Bay Packers simply because they did not address the cornerback position well enough this offseason, knowing that you had issues with Jair Alexander dating back to last season. So we're going to have to see what's to it over there in Green Bay simply because, look, y'all went out there and you already had Keeson Nixon. And, you know, he was that other starter on the other side. And y'all played a lot of games without Jair Alexander the last 2 years because in the last 2 years, he's only played a total of 14 games, 7 games each season. So you have some guys that has been on the football field. And then you pick up Nate Hobbs from Las Vegas Raiders, who's a guy that worked inside, and now you kind of trying to move him outside, and there is not a lot of hype about Nate Hobbs. So it's like, we shall see with that situation. I tell you this, hey, if y'all don't get y'all stuff together, the Green Bay Packers, y'all defensive backfield gonna get cooked. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Yes, you have guys like Xavier McKinney, who's a really good safety. I ain't gonna hold you, but you still need guys that's gonna be able to cover before the guys, you know what I'm saying? A lot of those short to intermediate routes, those are not going to be covered by Xavier McKinney. Yes, he can come in for support and be that support over the top, but you need them corners to do their damn job. Now, how well could they coach them up? How well could these guys be prepared? And how well could they execute? It's all going to be on the front for everybody to see and take notice. So we shall see what that situation looks like. But hey, for the moment, wide receiver Bo Melton is going to be trying out as cornerback for the Green Bay Packers. And I think we're going to see how it go. It's a little weird because y'all knew that the possibility of losing Jair Alexander was on the table, and y'all lost him for nothing. And y'all ain't draft a cornerback into the 7th round, bro. So we're going to see with that situation. But hey, that is it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all so much for tuning in into another episode. Make sure you go out there and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Leave your feedback, comments, concerns down in the comment box. Let's chop it up about the latest news going around the greatest sport in the world, the football. So let us know all your thoughts and everything down below. But yeah, that's it. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all always love football, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.